this is our first edition of the festival. And I think someone like you really fits the bill, because you are someone who brings ideas to governance. You know, you're not just following the rule book, but you're also embellishing it, you're sensitizing it, you're trying to make it what I call the Kiran Bedi touch, and in a good way. So thank you so much for all that you've done, and I congratulate you on your latest book, Fearless Governance, because fearless is an epithet we all associate with Kiran Bedi. Can we have silence, please? So, to begin with, your latest stint in Pondicherry, about your being there was a lot of confrontation because there was a chief minister where there was almost, a hostile equation between the two of you. But you still managed, you held your own, you didn't give up. So tell us a bit about that stint, the grit and determination that kept you carrying on.
First of all, there was a need to drive the change. Because Pondicherry, as I saw, was not being governed and administered the way it deserved to be. It's such a most beautiful part of the country, but it was not being governed, administered in a transparent way. It had huge issues of corruption. Huge issues of corruption. Bureaucracy was... We can shut that door if you wish, because then the noise will stop.
Yeah. I think so, yes. Someone who knows how to shut doors and open doors.
Yeah, because I don't like to be disturbed, and then I'm very focused on talking to you. So as I saw, Puducherry was not getting it what it deserved. It is one of the most beautiful parts. Goa and Puducherry are almost like two destinations for us. Kashmir is one, Puducherry, having traveled around the country. These are wonderful choices to make. And people are very simple. People are very nice. They want good governance. They're very cooperative. They're very cultured and very peaceful. But they were not getting what was due to them, as I saw. But then when I saw the laws, what the Lieutenant Governor of Delhi has been seeking, there was clarity, there was almost clarity, the written laws in Puducherry. It has enjoyed a special status of union territory. The administrator has executive powers. The services, appointment services was with the Lieutenant Governor. So what's the problem? So all I started to do was govern it, administer it. In fact, the first meeting I held when I went to Puducherry was with the law secretary to say, tell me my red lines. And he said, ma'am, the buck stops at you. That's what the law secretary said. That's the first chapter of the book. Once I knew, and I said when I read the law, then I went about implementing the law without crossing the line. Hostility came when they were not used to this. They were not used to having a governor, a lieutenant governor prior to that, exercising those powers effectively. They were just going in alignment with whatever it was. And that was what changed the status quo and brought in a lot of hostility, because status quo was not acceptable to them.
Actually, that is true. Governors, let's not talk partisan. Across party lines, usually governors are seen as, a retirement post. You just sit in the Raj Bhavan and don't get too involved with the chief minister. But you took the job as you take all jobs. You took it, you reinvent, you looked at the in-tray and you literally, you worked on things. You reinvented the job, and also within the Raj Bhavan also it was almost, I would say a model state, or the model office, governance administrative office was being run from there also. Yes,
I became, when I enjoyed such wonderful position, it is for a purpose. And the mission statement I gave on joining Puducherry was Prosperous Puducherry. Prosperous Puducherry meant rule of law. Prosperous Puducherry meant all the resources equally for all, no differentiation. Prosperous Puducherry meant total transparency and accountability. Prosperous Puducherry also empowerment of people, right? So once I gave that mission statement, we all start to live by that. And that is where it benefited all. And that's why Raj Nivas became an open institution. Raj Nivas was open to people every day for 2 hours or even beyond, according to the need, to the people, first come, first served. And I stood and listened to everybody. Once it became an open institution, there was a flow of information to Raj Nivas, and that is what started to get systems in place. People start to enjoy the fact that now they have a first, sometimes, let's say for instance, I give you an example. When I was doing an open house in Puducherry on one of these evenings, and two boys came to me and said, I said, "Kya chahiye?" "Humko cricket bat chahiye. Cricket bat chahiye." They knew LG was available, so they came turn by turn and took their token. So two young boys came saying, "Ma'am, मुझे cricket bat चाहिए." तो I said, "तुमको किसने भेजा मेरे पास?" "मेरी मम्मी ने भेजा." "जाओ, LG तुमको cricket bat भी देगी." So they even had, the children had started to feel, the mothers, कि हमको कुछ चीज़ चाहिए तो LG के पास जा सकते हैं. So I became one of them to serve them. And of course they got the cricket bat. But this is how the message went. The Raj Nivas lawns became a cinema hall every evening, every Thursday. Every Thursday, lawns became an open theatre. We had lovely lawns and we made it into an open theatre. And we got a sponsor, we put up a large screen and school children were invited turn by turn. So children come, the Life of Pi was shot, Tamil films were shot. So imagine Raj Nivas lawns became open air theatres for children. So we've left lovely memories. And all these years, children came to the Raj Nivas. One of the best gift I gave to the children on a birthday, somebody came with parents will come with a boy or a girl, their child. "Ma'am, it's her birthday. Isko bless kar do." I said, "Nahi, bless hi nahi, tum meri kursi pe baitho." So I used to make them sit on my lieutenant governor's chair. I said, "Yahan baitho, एक दिन तुमको लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर बनना है पुडुचेरी के, और ये हमारी बर्थडे गिफ्ट है." So the photographer would photograph him and gift him on his WhatsApp. So this is the way we were working.
The human touch, I think.
Absolutely.
I saw that also in your stint in Tihar jail. You just didn't, at the end of the day, you also, I think, realized or brought to the prisoners are there, they have to be disciplined, not just in body by giving them a routine, but also in mind. You brought Vipassana over there. That was a very, interesting move and an innovative move that you brought over there.
Yes, Priya, because after all, the body is a vehicle of your mind, as the mind thinks. So all this schemed up here, crime gets schemed up here. So when the scheming happens, the body then implements your orders. So all I start to look for solutions which start to address the mind. And I'd look for art of living, Vipassana meditation, yoga, the Brahma Kumaris, all these spiritual groups came turn by turn. And we introduced yoga, I'm talking of 1993. 1993, when yoga became an integral part of mornings for all prisoners. Evening were spiritual discourses of all faiths. All faiths, spiritual discourse in the evening, which is called satsang. And in the morning was yoga and sports and education. So once we made it into this kind of educational institution, many prisoners who were illiterate became literate. And publishers joined hands with me to donate used school books and even other books. So we made it into an educational institution for reform. Otherwise, if you leave them alone, what would they do? And of course, the most challenging thing which I did, which really impacted all of us and fortunately has remained, we made it into a no smoking zone. When I took over, it was a very heavily smoking institution and negative smoking. 50% were smokers and 50% were consumers of negative smoke. So we took away, tuberculosis was spreading. So we took away the smoking from there completely, which was a very big challenge, but we succeeded. And that became a healthier institution.
Now, this is what I like about you, is you actually look to see what is wrong and go about it. But that has also got you into a lot of trouble. People don't like someone thinking out of the box, which is also a part of the problem of the system. So how have you survived that? Sometimes you've been shunted from one post to the other because you were just thinking out of the box.
I answer my own conscience. I look at the purpose of my work. And if the purpose also has, fortunately, in the administration, the rules and regulations and resources, that's what I'm here for. I'm not an onlooker. I have to be a doer. I have to change where the problem needs to be changed and not worry about who will like it and who will not. Not looking for social approvals. And look, there were social approvals even for no smoking zone. So on one hand, you win approval. On the other hand, you disapproval. You're not looking at these two. You're only doing what is the purpose of your work, and you're doing it with the right intention. What is the selfishness about no smoking for me? What's the selfishness about people doing meditation for me? But that's the purpose of my work. So if you stick as an administrator to the purpose of your work, and then go about looking for solutions and resources and strategies and thinking and planning, you start succeeding. And things change. And of course, that's acceptable, that change is not comfortable for many. But that's not you looking for approval. You're looking for what is the right thing to do at that right time, in the right way.
Fair enough. And the right person. But what is the Kiran Bedi mantra for governance or for, doing the right thing? What are the 3 principles? Because as I said earlier, we've been doing many shows with you. I've seen the response you get. I've seen how many young kids especially do want, and the kids whom they've heard about you. You're a legend. Maybe, my generation, of course, we grew up with your Kiran Bedi and around that time. But kids now want to emulate you, become like Kiran Bedi. So what would you tell them?
I think you have to be self-driven. Motivation has to come from within. Seek it within, search it within, imbibe it, instill it. Self-driven. And I think I was self-driven even as a schoolgirl, where my parents never told me to do my homework on time or do advanced learning. I was self-driven even growing up. And I think that self-driven habit stayed with me, where I administer and serve my duty. Self-driven. My senior doesn't have to tell me, ऐसे करो. बल्कि कहते हैं कि तुम इतना करो, थोड़ा कम कर लो. अगर कम करना कर लो, because it was exceeding their expectations. But it was always being very self-driven. So self-driven, and then sense of responsibility. For whatever I do, it's my responsibility. I'll take the bouquets and the brickbats. Bouquets to be distributed and brickbats to take home. But that was the whole intention. So I think sense of responsibility, sense of purpose, being self-driven, if you acquire them as you grow up, they become you. They become your set of habits.
Tell us a bit about you as a schoolgirl. Did you always play by the rules, or there was a little bit of the Kiran Bedi then who would, want to do things her way?
No, I didn't play by the rules.
I thought so.
Teased the boys and boys teased me.
Who had the last word?
Both equal. So it was never taking it home and going back crying. I was a cyclist as a schoolgirl in Amritsar. I was bike from home to school, which was very far away. But it was biking and biking and biking as a teenager. But while biking, and with my tennis shorts, or in a tracksuit, or in a skirt, and those days of early days, I was being teased by the boys. And if they would tease me, I would tease them back. Means hit them back. I would never take it lying down. So I was a very outgoing girl. I think that outgoing habit remained with me even in governance, because I go out to see the problem. I don't ask for reports. There's no paper report with me. It's all about, you tell me a problem, I'm going and seeing it. Let's go see the problem. Once we see the problem, as I said, you use all your 5 senses on the problem. When you listen, you hear, you think, you watch, and once you've got the sense of it, you don't need a report. You come and make your own report, and then you get into an execution plan. And therefore, the impatience to solve people's issues must remain, because you are one. It's like they're having no problems of water. You can't say, send me a report. Let me see why the problem is there. So when the whole area is going dry, how do you do water harvesting? Who can do the water harvesting? Where will the resources come from? How does the piped water go there? So don't wait. If you were there, you would want it now. You don't say, kal aayenge, parso aayenge, mahine ke baad aayenge. It's a problem is now. Solve the problem on urgent basis, what requires urgency, and then take up what is important. So it's like being urgent in public problems, important in public issues. What is not important, what is not urgent can wait. So I think my whole approach to grievance redressal was, let me see the problem myself rather than having a report. It was always different from paper reports which would come. It was a paperless problem solving only by being on the field most of the time.
And also instant governance, I think, problem solving instantly. But there have been times where you have, faced a brick wall. You've had times where you had to, back down. How did you feel then? How did you mentally reassure yourself?
Almost every vital good decision of mine as a lieutenant governor and as a team. The best part of our work was a very strong team. I had a very dedicated, devoted team in Raj Nivas. It was called Team Raj Nivas, and it was just about 4 or 5 people, but very experienced, very dedicated, and they loved the change, because after all, they were Pondicherrians. And they loved the change because they knew, I will go away, all the right things which we are doing, they will be equally the beneficiaries. So the best part was a team victory. It was a totally team approach. What was your next part of the question? You've also forgotten it.
I've also forgotten it, sorry. But when you've had to hit a wall,
hostility.
how did you reassure yourself?
Oh my God, there was a tremendous hostility. And had to be when you hit money bags. Those people, whether it was politicians or vested interests or individuals who were making money in maladministration, their money got dried up. They got money dried up. And you think they'll be my friends? They wouldn't be. That's anticipated. But that should not hold you back. You are here to not fill their bags. You are here to see money goes to the people for whom it's meant. And it did. It did. And we saved a lot. We invested rightly. And there were no approvals for something which was beyond the budget. States which are crossing the budgets, the problem is in governance. They can easily say, like for instance, recently what's happened in a particular state, when they said, we got no money, you committed something, but there's no money. Who said that? A bureaucrat. So if the bureaucrats start sending the signals to the politicians right away, you have announced this, but sorry sir, there's no money in this, and there is no borrowing on this. That is what was happening as an administrator. I did not allow excess of any budget for anything non-essential. No gifting away when you you have not budgeted. If you budgeted, you get it. If you have not budgeted, you shall not it. You will not borrow and give. You will earn and give, or you generate.
So how did you generate it? Within the Raj Bhavan also you had schemes?
Oh, I cut down expenses of Raj Nivas hugely. I made Raj Nivas a vegetarian.
And that saves money.
Raj Nivas was a huge saving when I declared Raj Nivas to be vegetarian. Even our Eid and festivals were vegetarian, all vegetarian. Because I knew we could not afford that kind of large, expensive non-vegetarian food. We declared it to non-vegetarian. I became a vegetarian. The festivals became vegetarian.
But that was before the price of tomatoes went up.
No, we could not afford the lavishness which costs through non-vegetarian food. So I have to lead the way. That was the only way to save and stop the splurge.
Fair enough. But when you, just to go back to your early days, when you joined the police force, even today it is, common to see women in high posts. But that time it was pretty novel. So how did you get your men colleagues to accept you? And maybe later on as their boss?
I think gradually only when they saw the way I worked, that I didn't work for myself. I'm also grooming leadership. My objective was to recognize and groom. So it's leaving leadership behind, and it's also recognition plenty. So allow recognition go where it meant to be. I would get the recognition of they being happy. So my source of joy was not an award. My source of joy was their grooming, their happiness, their sense of satisfaction, their recognition, and they being happy at their work. For me, that was a sense of joy, where they felt as if we were one family. My whole approach, I think as a woman, many women do bring a family approach at work. Mine was a very family approach at work, where for me, they were part of an extended family, and their joy became my source of joy, not otherwise. My comfort is not first, your comfort is first. So when they saw that she's always recognizing us first and looking concerned about our welfare, they started to give me unstinted support. We were challenged in Pondicherry at every level before the Honorable Madras High Court or the Supreme Court. And God's grace, we won it every time. That is why when I left Lieutenant Governorship from there's a total legal clarity in the functioning of the Lieutenant Governor's powers and the state or of the Assembly, because every matter got settled. But imagine, while doing all this work, we also had to fight strong legal battles, because every time they were challenged. Today, there's nothing left to be challenged anymore.
You've battled opposition of all kinds, but I just want to focus on the gender opposition, because there's a lot of bias of women who actually want to do well at work. You're seen as pushy, ambitious. These are all seen as negatives, while in a man they're seen as positives. But what you said just now also said that a woman, you brought the sense of family. We bring that extra sensitive touch to even the work life. That's the positive. But at that time, how did you deal with all the negative adjectives that they use for a woman who's just...
I was cartooned a lot. There was a lot of mockery around, but people didn't like it. That's why they lost the election. They, in fact, lost it because they were mocking at my work. Whereas my work was all for people, for their welfare, their law and order, their sense of security, their resources, their comfort. So people were watching it carefully. I'm sure they threw them out. In fact, it's very, very important. You mock at a leader which doesn't get justified, I can tell you, people punish you. If you mock wrongly, people punish you. And they were punished because they were mocking at me regularly. As far as I'm concerned, for me, it's a part of a chapter.
Fair enough. But just before we wrap up, a word, we also have a show called We Women Want, where we celebrate women achievers, we talk to women leaders. And one of the common themes that has come out is that, women at the workplace, we are breaking the class ceiling, and people actually want women as colleagues. They've now realized that they made a mistake in keeping the women out, because women do bring that extra bit, and plus we can multitask. So women as a working woman, what advice would you give?
Be yourself. Don't change for others. You retain the strengths you have. All of us, all men and women, come with their own strength. Women have that strength. Don't have to surrender that strength. And what is that biggest strength of women? Is collaborative function. There's a spirit of collaboration. Today's work requires collaboration. It doesn't require competition. So if in administration, if you are collaboratively oriented and know your skill, and you're confident with yourself, you've got the stamina, and you're collaborative, that doesn't mean that you don't take decisions. It's collaboratively, but being decisive. And of course, remaining accountable for whatever. And then sharing the recognition. The more you give away, the more you get. That's why many people may prefer women, because women are givers. They're also collaborators. And they also groom leadership. These are the three very critical things today leadership is required in. And if she's skilled, people respect her.
Fair enough. Thank you so much for this word of advice. Just one last word. What is the next chapter in Kiran Bedi's life?
Plenty ahead, but future's not ours to see. I don't know, but as the days come. But there's enough to do daily, which leaves enough to be done the following day.
This is someone who's not giving up anytime soon. So we look forward to hosting you again soon. But until then, a big hand of applause for Dr. Kiran Bedi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.